All right, welcome in. It is Monday. It's time for Total Bases. I've got the boys with me, Bryan, Leonard, Tokyo, Brandon. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And we have day baseball today on a Monday. Always love to see it. It's something that, listen, I feel like Mondays and Fridays should always have a day game. You can wrap around in series and play a day game on a Monday, and it's inexcusable that someone's not playing day baseball on a Friday. It's nice when the Cubs do it. And Bryan, Leonard, the Cubs are going to grace us with a day game again today. And it happens to be one of the biggest games of the day. A doubleheader at Wrigley, Brewers Cubs, huge doubleheader really in the context of the NL Central. The Brewers finally lose one yesterday that I thought they stole at the end, and then they get walked off. Now they turn around. They're going to Wrigley. So let's talk about this doubleheader. This is a great place to start. I'm just rambling a little bit as we get people into the live broadcast. But yeah, let's start there. Brewers Cubs. It looks like the early pitching matchup is the one that's sort of announced. It's going to be Horton and Peralta. And I have a couple of thoughts on what we might see later. So let's start with Game 1, Brewers Cubs. Are you getting involved in this series? And also, I love your hat. That is the Las Vegas Aviators. They do this little Copa diversion. I think it's like Latin America or Mexican type thing. And that's a great hat. So welcome in. And yours is too, TB, as always.
Yeah, I think it's called La Playa is what they play when they play these games. But I don't like the Aviators hat originally. It looks like an ant to me, so I don't want to buy it. So
the LV is kind of cool though, Bryan. That LV,
yeah, that's okay. But I could have got any hat that looks like that down on the strip for $1.99 or something. But anyway, I do want to point out that I had a comment the other day in the YouTube replay saying that they thought, at least this one person thought, that it was a waste of time for me to go through with the numbers earlier before we get into the handicapping. He was more worried. He preferred me to go off the top of my head. I've been thinking about this for a while because everybody knows what the ERAs of these things are and everything. I was just trying to set it up a little bit. So if it's important where there's some value in that, I will do it. But otherwise, I'm gonna try to riff off the top of my head a little bit longer or a little bit more, and maybe the show will go a little bit shorter because of that. Maybe we can fit some more games in. So let me just try that this week and see how it goes. I didn't give it to clients yesterday, but I did bet on Cincinnati against Milwaukee. And the reason why was I thought Milwaukee, they'd set the record with the 14th straight or whatever it was, and they had this huge doubleheader coming up today. So I thought of any importance, that game yesterday was the least important that they would have. They've already set the record, and they had to set themselves up for this doubleheader here against the Cubs, which is much more important for the Cubs than it is for Milwaukee because Milwaukee has an 8-game lead on them. And it went both ways. Milwaukee doesn't even know how to lose where it comes back, and the Reds end up winning in extra innings. So I got that victory. Now that's out of the way. Now I can concentrate here on the Cubs. Peralta and Horton. Current line here is basically the Cubs 125, and the total is about 8. Milwaukee rested a few of their guys yesterday. They didn't rest everybody. Obviously, it's tough to rest everybody when you've only got 25, 26 guys on the team. 26 now, 27 if you have a doubleheader, which they'll have today. But Peralta, I've been more impressed by Peralta this year than Horton. Horton's got pretty good numbers, but his expected numbers aren't as good. And if you take a look at his StatCast page, he's getting more lucky than anything. He's done a nice job, no doubt about it, for the Cubs. But from a starting pitcher standpoint, I prefer Peralta here. But I understand why the Cubs are a slight favorite. If most people take a look at these two teams, if neither one of them are on a big winning streak, they would say the Cubs are probably the better team. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But the line seems fair to me here with Horton in the 125 range. But because they need the game more than Milwaukee does, I will pass on it. But they do have 2 games today. The second part of the doubleheader at this point it's undecided on both sides. So
I know it's going to be Chad Patrick for the Brewers. I
okay.
don't know exactly who the Cubs are going to use, but I know it's Patrick for the Brewers.
And that's the thing with the Brewers is they're so low to a starting pitching. They've got guys that should be up in the majors that aren't right now. And
Like
so
Henderson.
I'm not concerned at all about the starting pitching for the Brewers here. The need is there for the Cubs. If the Cubs get swept in the series somehow, their season is over. If they lose 3 out of 4, they won't win the division probably. We've got, less than 40 games left in the season. So these are important games. I'm going to pass on this.
The Cubs are Chief Cub on Twitter, who is a Cubs season ticket holder here to talk Cubs baseball, says it's very likely Jameson Taillon for game 2 for the Cubs. And there's another beat writer, MLB guy, that is confirming that says Taillon will be the starter for game 2. So go ahead, TB. What do you think about that?
Generally, I think most professional sports bettors or regular sports bettors would say they generally stay away from a game 2 of a doubleheader. There's reasons why the lineup's not announced until after the first game. You don't know if their best hitter will get injured in the first game. You don't know how many bullpen pitchers they're going to use in game 1. So there's a lot of X factors for betting a game 2. So obviously I'm going to stay away from game 2. Game 1, before I get to it, guys, I have my MLB play out for today already. I'm sure these guys are going to have something up as well. We always put free plays up on our page. So see that ticker down there? You can check our pages out at Wager Talk. I have my pitcher projection PDF up, downloadable for free as well. So go grab that. And I'm going to use that PDF in this cap. I like the Brewers here. And the reason I like the Brewers is because Chicago's bats are a little cold right now. In current form, I got them ranked 27. That's not a little cold. That's ice cold. Best hitters on Chicago's team, Horner and Suzuki. I know they have a couple of other ones, but neither one of those guys bat well against Peralta throughout his career. If you look at, so this is what's good about the numbers that I put out there. I put out each pitcher, how they perform against the batters they're facing, and I project their outs and their strikeouts. So Peralta, he's got a 165 batting average against versus these batters and a 596 OPS. Anything under 750, as I've said before, I think is good. So given the fact that the Cubs are in a little bit of a quagmire with their bats there, I don't see them scoring a lot in this game, which makes me think that Milwaukee might avenge their loss from last night, perhaps.
TB, I'm very much in agreement with you. The fact that you're probably getting the Brewers at plus money in both games in this doubleheader, I would only probably look to find a place to bet the Brewers, and it may be game 2, Patrick versus Taillon, and I'll just talk about generally why I think the Brewers are value here. Okay, so Bryan, as he said yesterday, they were always going to lose one. They rested a couple of guys yesterday. I think they brought in, was it Anderson? They brought in someone to close the game that they normally would not have brought in to close the game. I don't think they expected to be up in the 9th inning the way they were, kind of like, out of nowhere, taking the lead like that. So again, I just think yesterday was more of not a throwaway game, but it was just like, hey, if we win, we win. That's great. If not, we have an 8-game lead in the division. I also don't think, listen, this is a 5-game series. So we're playing 2 today, and then it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, theoretically, the Cubs, let's say the Cubs were to pull off a 5-game sweep, they'd be back in the division race. But I don't even think the Cubs are thinking that that's a possibility. I think the Cubs at this point are battling it out for the wild card. So it's but I do think odds makers and bettors look at that a little bit. And they're like, oh my God, this is so important for the Cubs. It's a must win. So let's juice let's bake that into the number, right? Let's make it minus 126 on the Cubs instead of minus 110 where it probably should be. And I think you're going to see that in both matchups. Now, I haven't even seen a line for game 2. I haven't seen a price for game 2. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to the price for game 1 because I don't think the books are going to put, if it's Patrick and Taillon, which it is at this point, I think we can pretty much say that that's what it is. And the game 1 line with Horton and Peralta is what? Cubs minus 125, I think right now, minus 126. I think you're going to get a similar line in game 2. So you give me 18 innings of Brewers against Cubs, and I'll go back to what Tokyo Brandon said. The Cubs they're not just not hitting right now. This has been going on for a while. I mean, they haven't been hitting for like a month. And, you even look at that Pirates series. I talked about the Pirates on Friday. We cashed a nice 4%er, which I gave out on the show on Friday with the Pirates. Cubs didn't hit in that game. They didn't hit all series. And it's not like they faced Skeens, right? I think he's pitching today. We'll talk about that one in a second. The Cubs managed 2 runs in a loss on Friday. The 3-1 win on Saturday, they scored 2 in the 8th when the Pirates finally ran out of relievers. And then yesterday, 4 runs on 6 hits. Like, this team's not hitting at all. Now, could the Brewers go on? Could the Brewers maybe not have the best series here because they just came off this crazy win streak? Yeah, I guess so. But if we're just looking at this doubleheader and you're going to give me Brewers plus money in both games, I don't think they lose both of these games. So again, I don't know exactly how I want to bet it. I don't know if I want to like necessarily play against the Cubs in game 1, but let's say the Cubs win another close game in game 1. Chad Patrick's like the perfect 27th man. He knows his role in the organization. I just think that like he's going to be totally fine knowing he's going to come up, start, and probably go back down. He pretty much always gives you the same solid effort. I think Brewers in game 2 is a look here, especially if the Cubs win a close one in game 1. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about. Here's one. Mark Barnes. First of all, I got to pull this comment up. Premium Picks 01 says, I feel like I'm at a zoo. I'm watching 3 goats. That is very kind of you. And that's also very funny. Thank you for tuning in on a daily basis. Also, TB, I got a 5% play up. I probably should promote that because I will definitely get scolded if I have a 5%er and don't come on here and let you guys know. So it's been a really good baseball run for me, or overall run. And 5%er is up. So I want to get that out there. And now go back to Mark Martin because he says Angels team total is what I played earlier. It's plus money. Bryan Leonard, the Reds to win that game yesterday. I believe they used all 3 relievers that they used on Saturday to close that game out. I think Pagan, Ashcraft, and Santillan. I don't know. Anyway, I believe all 3 pitched on Saturday as well. So Mark Martin says Angels team total and it's plus money. Even before I dig into it, that makes a lot of sense because the Reds bullpen isn't great as it is. Are you seeing it the same way?
Yeah, Pagan, Santillan, Ashcraft all pitched, and Barlow pitched 2 of the last 3 days. That leaves them with Suter, May, kind of like May a little bit though. Suter, May, Mall, who's been successful, in Phillips. So yeah, they're going to be a little shorthanded in this game. Let me give you the current line. We got Singer going against Medros. Medros, I believe, making his second start, I think, for the Angels. Cincinnati comes in about a 110, 115 favorite, total of 9 to the over. Cincinnati coming off that big come from behind win and has to travel cross country to face the Angels, a team that's been really up and down all season long. If you take a look at the leaderboard for the last 2 weeks in the WRC Plus, the Angels they're hitting pretty well. They're 10th at 109, and Cincinnati's down to 78. And considering Cincinnati had just played some games at home, which is a good hitter's ballpark, tells you that Cincinnati's not hitting well right now. From a starting pitcher standpoint, Singer's been up and down. Started the year really well, struggled as of late, but it's come on. I think the Angels have a good chance here to score some runs. We're looking at a total of 9. Let me get a quick look at that team total here. Team total is 4.5, about even money or plus 110 for Cincinnati. Got to score 5. Scott scored 5 runs against the Cincinnati team. It all comes down to how long Singer can go in this one. Let's see his last few starts here to see how long he's been going. And, of course, that should not showing up on my computer. Okay. So, yeah, I understand it. I kind of like what we're talking about here in a high-scoring game. I do want to point out in the Cubs game, the wind's blowing in a little bit, but both of those guys are expected ERAs about full run higher than their actual ERA. Slightly to the over in that game we were talking about. But this one's slightly lean with the Angels. But other than extension, Seager stinks. He's below league average and everything. So a lot of times you'll get guys who are new to the league or an unknown pitcher, and nobody wants to back them. I wouldn't mind backing them here. I think the Angels have a little bit of value, and I wouldn't argue with the team total.
Yeah, Brian's a nice guy. He said at the beginning of the show, people were saying stuff about his numbers. I'm not as nice as Brian, so you guys can, if you don't like the way I'm analyzing games, and mute while I'm talking, because I'm not changing anything for anyone. So this is our show, and this is how we're doing it. Too bad. So, you guys are putting some really funny comments. Now some people are writing in Japanese. That's funny. I don't have much of a read on the Medeiros guy, so I don't really have a big read on him. So, but he can't be better than Singer, in my opinion. Maybe he is. I don't know, but he's unproven. There's no doubt about that. We've got two really bad bullpens. Cincinnati's bullpen in current form, I got them ranked 25th. That's bad. Angels not much better at 21st. So we got two bad bullpens, and we got two lineups that are actually hitting quite well right now. So if anything, I would agree with Brian and say an over in this one. I'm probably not going to play it because there's too many X factors. And also one thing that kind of scares me, if you download my pitcher projections at my page at wagertalk.com, you'll see that Singer has a 219 average against versus these batters, which kind of scares me a little bit. But just because he's done that in the past doesn't mean he's going to do that every game. That's why, nothing is 100% lock. And that's why we lose bets sometimes. But if anything, I don't know, avoid Singer and maybe take the Cincinnati team total over, or even the game total over, maybe. I won't play it. There's just too many maybes for me.
Yeah, game total over certainly makes sense. We talked about the Reds bullpen-ish, sort of usage. I was on the Angels yesterday. That was an interesting game, to say the least. I felt like they blew that lead for me twice, and I was about to take a loss. And then Kenley Jansen wiggled out of a jam in the ninth, and the Angels put up 6 runs in the 10th inning for an 11-5 extra innings win. So we'll start there. Kenley Jansen threw 28 pitches. He's not going to pitch today. That was 28 pitches, and every one of them was a sweat. Like every one of those pitches, because right off the bat, it was like first, I think he gave up like a leadoff double or something. Like right off the bat, it was an issue. And so he really worked hard. I'd be shocked if he's out there again today. So again, you have bullpen usage on both sides. As Brian said, the Angels have hit. I really want, I thought I was going to I'm actually not totally against taking the Reds. As I've talked about on the show a couple times, like Brady Singer is a guy that I've probably been higher on than the market. He started off really good. He then was awful for a stretch. And now I think we're seeing Brady Singer sort of, if we're looking at his roller coaster type season, he's on one of his inclines right now. Last time out, 6 shutout innings against the Phillies, 6 strikeouts, no walks, 2 starts ago against the Braves, 6 scoreless, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. And then the start before that, he pitched into the 8th inning against the Rays and had 8 strikeouts. So I don't know how long it's going to last, because we've seen him go the other way at times. But right now, Singers is on one of his runs of good form. And I don't really want to bet against that. Now, Medeiros is someone I've watched pitch quite a bit. He's been at AAA Salt Lake for the majority of the past couple seasons. He's still a younger guy. He's only like 24, but he's been at AAA for a while. Like so this is just eye test. This is just watching him pitch. Like his stuff doesn't jump off the page. Like let's say like watching Nolan McLean pitch at AAA, which I got to see in person a few times here. I knew he was going to look good. I didn't bet it, but like that's someone where you watch him pitch at AAA and you're like, yeah, this guy's probably going to be pretty freaking good. Like, and it's one start, but I'm just saying you can see it when you're watching him at AAA. Medeiros, it's like I've always kind of sort of rated him as like a very average sort of AAA starter. Went back and looked at some of his numbers and was very like not surprised, but it kind of like it kind of validated, I guess, the next point I'll make. He's got a good ERA, but some of the other stuff, like the WHIP, is very high. He had a good month last month, but his WHIP was 1.55. Batting average against was like 247. So I don't know if he's going to be like a great MLB pitcher. He might be a guy that stays around for a while that can, because he can navigate a start at AAA. He's been doing it for a couple of seasons, but now throw him against the Reds lineup. I going off of memory here, Brian, I can't remember who he pitched against last, but I think he went like 3 or 4 innings and wasn't anything special. So
yeah,
I want to say again.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, if I look at the two starters, I feel like the upside is Singer continuing to pitch well, because we know when Singer gets in a little groove, he can be very good. Like if you go back to the beginning of the season, they talked about his pitch mix and updating that, and he had a great month of April, struggled, but it feels like he's back in that form right now, especially with the increased swing and miss and strikeout. So I just think there's so much more upside to the Reds here, and I really do think the Reds are the better of these two teams. Like if you're just saying who's the better team, to me, no brainer, the Reds. And they have some of the same issues with the bullpen. Reds is like, so because I have a 5%er out, and I'll use this to promo myself again one more time, 5% play, I am going to probably give anything else I play today for free. The Reds is on that list. Actually, Brian, I'm going to put that in the parlay. Reds is going to be my parlay league. So we'll go Reds money line in the parlay. I got to sit here and think about the bullpens for a second, but you made a point about, is it May that's available? Who's the one you said available that you
May?
like?
Yeah, May is the one I think is. If they're going to have to close a game, he's probably the guy that's going to do it. We're looking at about a 112 right now here on Cincinnati.
That's we'll take that. And like you said, they did use Pagan, Santillan, and Ashcraft, but the Reds bullpen is not really their strength. And it's not like they have like these amazing leverage guys you can't live without. So yeah, I'll go Reds parlay. That might actually make the client card. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just want to touch on Medeiros' career. Yeah, you mentioned he's only 24. He's already pitched in 3 seasons. This is his 3rd season pitching in the majors. The numbers are ugly. His career ERA 8.27, and his WHIP is 2.02. But keep in mind, he's only thrown 16.1 innings overall. So 3 innings, 5 1/3, 8 innings for the last 3 years. We really don't know what is obviously a small sample size here for him. Yeah, I agree. I kind of like the over a little bit more. Singer's been very hot and cold all season long, but the Angels have some nice power, and they're playing at home here. So I prefer, if I had to play something, I'd play the over a little bit, but luckily we don't have to play all these games.
If you can get an over, I was just scanning the market real quick. If you can get an over 9, I think some sites are at 9.5 plus money. If you can get an over 9, that makes a lot more sense. So like if you can find like a 9 minus 120, I think that's I think that makes sense for sure. All right, let's go back. There's another good comment here. Mike Scott. He says, "Good morning, fellas. How can I convert my friends' brains from thinking too square? We like to put in parlays together. I want them to think value plays like y'all have taught me. Just have them watch the show. Say guys, tune into the show, and then they'll start to think like you are, or like we do. So anyway, appreciate the feedback. Let's continue on here. I see the chatter in the chat talking about our guy Jack Flaherty. So this was one that interests me as well. I know Sean has been mostly right. So Sean's a Tigers fan, and he's been mostly correct on Flaherty, at least him being good for a stretch. Now, I know he hasn't been as good of late, and neither have the Tigers. But Brian Leonard, this is feels like the spot where it's maybe time to jump back in with the Tigers a little bit. I'm not high on this Astros team, and Arrighetti hasn't really been a guy I've wanted back since he's come back. They've also had a little bullpen usage from the weekend. So is this your spot to jump back in with the Detroit Tigers at home as a favorite right here?
Not in this price range. We're looking at about a 155 with a total
Oh,
of 8.5.
wow.
Eric
That
Getty,
moved.
what was that?
That moved. I think the Tigers before I came on the show were like minus 130. Minus 130. So they must have just taken money like big time, if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I see, it would open at 140, and now it's up to
Oh,
155, whatever.
okay.
But
Keep going.
Eric Getty's a guy who I was excited to see come back, but he hasn't performed very well. He's still coming back from injury, so it's going to take him a little bit while here. Houston is getting a few guys back. At least they're supposedly no longer injured, including their big bopper. So we'll see what happens here. But that's a team that needs a little bit more offense. Flaherty, he's not been nearly as good this year as he was last year. In fact, in 2023, he wasn't very good either. So I do have my concerns with him. His barrel rate in the 4th percentile really bothers me. And he gets away with being a fly ball pitcher because this is a good pitcher's ballpark. But I don't know if I'd look to back him on a general basis. He's just very inconsistent. And as I mentioned, Eric Getty comes in with a 6.38 ERA, 4.58 expected, and the whip is high, 1.47. He's always had a high whip. This is his second season. His career numbers are 4.74 ERA, 1.41 whip. Got great extension, and his whiff rate's pretty good. Expected batting average, but he's had walk problems. Last year, 10.3% walks. This year, 13.1. So I kind of like the over here. I don't trust either one of these pitchers here. I know it's a pitcher's ballpark, but we could still get 8.5 out there and get that over without having to pay much juice. That would be the way I would look. As of right now, I don't trust either one of these starters. And, they do have some pretty good hitters in these lineups. They're not completely all the way through, like I mentioned earlier in the season for Detroit was. But there's still pretty good bats at the bottom of these lineups. So I kind of like the over in this one.
Guys, do us a favor and go to the replay and leave a comment and click the like button on our replay. Would greatly appreciate it. Actually, if you click the like button now, it counts as a like on the replay. So click that like. All of us are great baseball cappers. I'm number one at Wager Talk plus 90 units 2025. I know Adam's on a good run. Bryan's the all-time baseball winning capper at Wager Talk. So go to our page and find out what we got and check our free plays out as well. Regarding this game, I think the Tigers is the only way to go. Astros bats are pretty cold right now. I know they just came off a couple wins, but they're cold right now, and their bullpen is not performing well at all. I got the Astros bullpen ranked 25 in current form. Very bad. Tigers, not much better, but still better is better. I got them ranked 17. Batting, Tigers a lot better than the Astros right now, according to my numbers. And Flaherty is very average starting pitcher. A lot of people are going to say he's a great home pitcher, but he's not really a great home pitcher. It's just he's terrible on the road, so it makes him look better at home. He's almost got a 4 ERA at home, which is not great. But the Astros bats are really cold right now. And Aaron Getty, he's walking 71% of the batters he's striking out. That's a huge walk rate. He's going to get in trouble here, I think. I think Detroit's going to score more than Houston, which means usually when you score more than the other team, you usually win the game. So I would say the Tigers are going to win this one. I haven't played it yet, but all of my numbers point that way. They just don't point definitively that way, but they do all point that way.
I knew I wasn't crazy. Sean said Tigers were minus 125 at 7 a.m. G. Hurt said he already played Tigers minus 140. I think they were minus 135 when I was sort of doing my notes this morning. So yeah, the Tigers absolutely took money, and rightfully so. I would not play the Tigers now at the current price because I'm just not going to take a price that's 30 to 40 cents worse. But if you already have the Tigers in your pocket, I think it's a good bet. Bryan talked about Eric Getty. So if you go back a couple weeks, I talked about Eric Getty when he came off the IL. And I said, I felt like the Astros rushed him back. I felt like he probably should have had at least one more start at AAA. And he came back. In that start, he came back 3 2/3 against the Marlins, 11 hits. 5 runs, not very good. Last time out, he actually like survived against the Red Sox, but still 5 walks, 3 strikeouts. And that's always been the thing with Arrighetti is he's got the good swing and miss stuff, but if he's not on, if his command isn't there, he throws too much out. He throws too many what you would call non-competitive pitches, meaning he's out of the zone and no one in Major League Baseball is going to swing at them. If you go back to the beginning of his career, his first couple starts, that's what he struggled with because he was getting a lot of swing and miss in the minors, and then he got up to the big leagues, and it's like, oh no, like these guys don't swing at that pitch up here. They're just too good. He was able to work around that and actually had a run where he was really pretty solid and he was getting a lot of strikeouts. Right now, he clearly doesn't have that command, probably because he came back from injury Listen, Tokyo Brandon will tell you, being around baseball guys forever, it is very difficult, especially for a pitcher, to shut it down in the middle of the season and then come back and like not have some sort of issues. And it's even tougher when you don't get like a month to really iron it out at AAA. Right. And they didn't he didn't have that long. He kind of, I think he had like 1 or 2 starts and it was right back in the big leagues. And this is still a young guy in his second season that has never had great command overall. And so you rushed him back. Now it's not clicking and he's got to go out and start on the road tonight in Detroit. 8 2/3 innings since he's come back, 8 walks. Like, can't happen. Not going to win a road game against a good team. And if Flaherty can be even a little bit respectable, which, yeah, he hasn't been great his last 2 starts, but for the most part, he's been pretty solid. I think the Tigers are going to be in a good position to win. So I think whoever's bet the Tigers already, great bet. Maybe use it in your parlay at this point because at -155, -160, the value is gone, in my opinion. So, yeah, good conversation there. And that'll be an interesting one to watch because those 2 teams are, I feel like, kind of similar in the sense like they're, not having as good of a run as they did earlier in the year. We'll see who gets back to being the playoff caliber team. Okay, let's continue on. I'm going to grab one from the chat here. I saw another one that people wanted to talk about. Let me see. Here's one. Let's go to Jose Perez. I believe he's talking about, oh yeah, he is talking about Trevor Rogers right here. And this was a game that interested me a little bit. So Trevor Rogers, I still think it was an awful trade, Brian Leonard. It was an awful trade to give what they gave up for Trevor Rogers last year. I believe it was Stowers and Norby they gave to the Marlins. So terrible trade, but Trevor Rogers is starting to look like the guy they maybe wanted last year at the trade deadline when they were in the playoff race. He's been very good. Now he's on the road here against the Red Sox. Jose Perez says he likes the over outs. So I'll leave that to you, and then maybe TB can jump in on the outs over since that's his thing. Orioles, Red Sox at Fenway Park tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, Brandon has made some comments about certain teams and players and has backfired. I think we can all take into account that we really did not like this Rogers trade, but I apologize to Trevor Rogers. He's pitched so much better this year than I expected. Comes in with that 1.43 ERA, 0.81 WHIP. He's got a lot of red on his StatCast page. His hard hit rate is in the 4th percentile, which really stands out considering his ERA. 4th percentile, you usually don't see that for guys that have a under 3 ERA, but his numbers have been very good, and I expect that to continue. They saw something in him, and he's pitching more like he did in that really big year for the Marlins. Dustin May, 4.67 ERA, 1.35 WHIP on the season. A lot of blue, unfortunately, and now he's playing in a very good hitter's park. Didn't understand why Boston wanted to bring him in here. May work out in the future. I don't know if it's working out this season for him. He's got a lot of blue on his card, so it's not something I'm looking forward to from backing him. We're looking at the line right now, getting a little bit of hits all around, but we're looking at about a 120 favorite for Boston here and 8 to the over 20 in the total. I said coming into the season that if I was going to play Baltimore games, I was going to play them over for the most part, the offense has been a little bit disappointing this year. The pitching has been basically what we thought it was going to be, a lousy starting staff. So with a total of 8 in Boston, that's kind of low, isn't it? I don't see that very often. And even though Rogers I really like, I think Baltimore is going to get to May a little bit. Let me take a look at the Baltimore team total. That may have some value. It's 3.5 to the over, minus 135 or so. That would be what I would prefer. I think he'd score 4 runs in Boston against May. Let's go Baltimore over team total. I may end up using that as my parlay, but as of right now, that's just a feeling. And they still have some pretty good hitters in that Baltimore lineup. They've just been very streaky. So that's the way I'm looking at this one right now.
To the person who put in the comments Trevor Rogers over 17.5 outs recorded, you have been reading my mail. I actually put that out as a free play earlier in the day while everyone in the United States was sleeping. As soon as this came out on DraftKings, I jumped all over it, and here's why. Trevor Rogers has been really good this season, better than when he was with Miami, much better. I don't know what happened. Maybe he needs to be tested. I don't know what's going on, but he's been pitching great. And against these batters, he has a 200 average against and a 527 OPS against. That's great. It's only 30 at-bats sample. But, okay, fine. He's on the road today. So how's he do on the road? Well, 40-plus innings pitched. He's got a 199 ERA on the road. That's pretty good. So combine that together with, and if you download my newsletter for free, my pitcher projections PDF, I call it a newsletter. Maybe it's not technically a newsletter, but you'll see that I project Trevor Rogers at 19.8 outs recorded because in his last few games, he's been going over. Look at his last starts: 7 innings, 6 innings, 8 innings, 7, 6, 6.2, 6.2. I mean, well, it's technically 6.6, but so, I mean, why is he 17.5 outs recorded, which is 6 innings? Makes no sense to me. So I'm all over that over. I only put 1% on it though. So because my innings projections have been a little bit cold, my money lines have been hot. So I'm not risking too much on it, but yeah, I like his over 17.5. Baltimore might win this game too. Their bats are a little cold, but they might win.
I think they have a great chance to win, and to just go off of the pitching outs over. I mean, they do kind of the Orioles do kind of need length from their starters. They traded away, was it Soto? They 2 of them. I think they traded Sir Anthony Dominguez to the Blue Jays. I believe they traded Soto to the Mets. So this was never a deep bullpen in the first place, and now they've traded some of their better guys. So if they're in a winnable game and their starter is keeping his pitch count down, you can pretty much rest assured that they're going to let him go the full allotment because they don't have like much down there in the bullpen yet. So that I think that favors the over outs as well. Too little too late for the Orioles. It's actually unfortunate that they were so bad out of the gate because this is not a bad baseball team. I think you watch them, you look at what they're doing right now. Man, if they were like where the Rangers are, or let's say the Rays or like the Royals, I'd be like, you know what, this team might have a chance. They might be in the mix. I like the way they're hitting. I still think they have a good enough group of players from a talent perspective. They kind of rake right-handed pitching, so I don't have much faith in Dustin May here. They don't play as well on the road, which is, I guess, a concern. But like when you're talking about getting Rogers as opposed to, like Bryan pointed out, May, I'm not quite sure what the Red Sox were doing with that. I think they wanted Joe Ryan and didn't get him, and just like sort of made the knee-jerk move, like, hey, we have to make a move because we're in it. We need but May was never the answer there, in my opinion. And I think you have a great starter in Rogers who has shown no reason. He's shown really no reason to doubt him. And yeah, Bryan, the hard hit rate is puzzling. Because how are you throwing up those numbers as a starter, but giving up hard hit? It makes no sense. But the thing is, all of his other numbers and metrics are so good that I'm like almost willing to just ignore that at this point, because he's been so good everywhere else that I see no reason to doubt him. So you want to talk about, plus money, Orioles hit right-handed pitching. Orioles are playing well. I don't mind it. Slick Vic said he's healthy now. Yeah, that matters. And Trevor, he's, okay, so Trevor's commenting on May, which is a good, I love the devil's advocate. I always want to see both sides. He said May tweaked his pitch mix and looked really good last time out against Houston. Yeah, it's a good point as well. But for me, the way the Orioles are playing right now, you give me this Orioles lineup against a right-handed pitcher. You have Basallo just got called up. They're going to give Dylan Beaver some playing time. Two guys I've been excited about at the minor league level. Jeremiah Jackson's kind of been great since he was called up. So you got some of these younger guys in the mix. The Orioles are an exciting team to me right now. I'll be looking on spots to play them. I thought about it here. Haven't got to the window with it yet, but the only way I would play this game is the Orioles. Just to think they're better than the market at this point. And Colin Gregory says Colton Cowser's back. That's a guy that they missed for stretches this year. So I think they're an exciting team right now. All right, we got to do this one. Adam Batman Westbury in the chat, welcome in, says, are the Jays going to hit up Skeens? Toronto plus money is very inviting. I was dead wrong last week. The Brewers took it to Paul Skeens. And Brian Leonard, are we getting to the end of the season where Skeens maybe is just like, I'm on this bad team. It's August. I don't know. Like, is there any reason for him maybe not to go full tilt and risk like injuring himself or like something stupid happening on a team that's so far out of the race? Because he didn't look good. He didn't look like himself at all against the Brewers. And now he faces a Blue Jays lineup that can knock the cover off the ball. So how are you seeing this one?
I think Paul Skeens is pitching for Paul Skeens as opposed for pitching for the Pirates. He seems to be very, very cerebral. He knows if you take a look at his routines, he does a lot of things a little bit different. Mizorowski's kind of picked up after him. But he's an independent guy. He's out there trying to prove himself. Obviously, free agency is in his future. So I think you're going to get the best out of him every time he goes out there. His hard hit rate is only in 52nd percentile, but everything else is really good. He's a guy that I expect to pitch well, and it's up to the Pittsburgh management to see how long he goes in these games. He went 133 innings last year. Now he's at 148. He does throw 7 pitches, so he throws everything 5% or more. So he's got a full arsenal. I love that in case something's not working. A lot of these guys, we talked about Ben Brown in the past with only 3 pitches and really 2. If one of his pitches isn't working well, it's a long day for him. But Skeens is able to make the adjustments, and I think you're going to get a good effort out of him. Kevin Gausman comes in. He's been a workhorse last 3 years, 185 innings, 181 last year. He's already up to 142 and a half. He's a fly ball pitcher, but this is a pretty good stadium for pitchers. So I don't think it's going to be much of a factor here. If you ask me, I think there's a little bit of value on Toronto. When you look at the WRC Plus over the last 14 days, Toronto's blowing everybody away. They're at 165. The second best is Milwaukee at 136. Pittsburgh's dead last at 72. So we got the best hitting team in baseball the last 2 weeks going against the worst hitting team in baseball the last 2 weeks. And it's close to a pick 'em. It's we're looking at about 110 favorite or so for Pittsburgh. So it's really a toss up here. I think Toronto's the better side here. To get the team that is so much better offensively than the opposition. And it's not like Gausman's a bad pitcher. He's been a veteran, but he's good. He's a good pitcher. Is he Skeens? No. But I think there's value here on Toronto. I prefer the Blue Jays in this price range.
Yeah, so the Blue Jays are basically better at everything than the Pirates. The problem is you've got the best pitcher in MLB. Well, one of the two. It's either Skubal or Skeens. But what are the chances he has 2 horrible games in a row? I just don't see it. He's just too good. And I look at Gausman's numbers against these Pirates. surprisingly, they've rocked him in his career. What does he have? A 364 average against and a 1,061 OPS against these batters in his career. He's on the road and he's got a really good ERA on the road. So now I'm conflicted. Are the Pirates going to actually break out and hit him? Or is he going to be a good road pitcher like he usually is? So when I'm conflicted like this, I'm not going to play it. If anything, I would play an under in this game because I just don't see Skeens having 2 bad games in a row. Although Toronto is the number 4 hitting team in MLB, and they've been ranked 5 or higher almost all season. So they have some boys who can put it over the fence. I just don't see Skeens having 2 bad games in a row. So all these conflicting things. Sorry to throw out data and not make a play, but I'm not going to play this.
Hey, I mean, it's a pretty big slate for a Monday, so nothing wrong with sort of getting through a game and realizing there's not much there. I kind of agree with you because I'm with you on the thought process that Skeens probably bounces back and throws the ball well. But at the same time, like Kevin Gausman it's kind of tough to figure out. Like he's really a 2-pitch pitcher this year. He's just throwing 2 pitches. It's fastball splitter, and he gets no ground balls. Yet he's having a very, very good season. Numbers I mean, you talk about like his whip's like 105. Okay. And it's like, you're not supposed to be able to do that as a starter in Major League Baseball over the course of a full season with 2 pitches. But he's a veteran guy. He locates and he's getting enough swing and miss where it's worked out for him. So that makes it difficult because I think I'd like to play against him, Gausman, but I don't know if I want to play against the Blue Jays, who I've sort of talked about in April and May as the team that they could be this team, and now they've become this team. So it's very difficult for me to fade them because this is what I always thought they could be, and they sort of turned into what I thought they were going to be. So plus money, I guess I do see a little value with the Blue Jays because if you can survive the starters, there's no question that you're going to have an edge in the later innings of this game with the Blue Jays. The other thing is, the Pirates, I watched most of that Cubs-Pirates series over the weekend. Every game was close. The Pirates could have won all 3 games. They did win on Friday. So they just played 3 very, very tight competitive games with a team that I'm sure that they consider is, a rival. It's a division rival. And so to have to turn around and kind of play this game today, and then the fact that they do come out flat behind Skeens sometimes, I don't know if it's because they think like, okay, like he's just going to go 6 scoreless and whatever. That makes me not want any part of the Pirates here. So it would be Blue Jays or pass, but I just don't know if I can get behind Gausman knowing that Skeens might come out, pitch well, and I'd be in trouble if he does that. So yeah, I don't think I have anything here either. Travis in the chat says, oh, go ahead, TB. Sorry about that.
Let me make just a quick point. I think the books, I've seen this all year. I think they're overvaluing starting pitching. You got a good starting pitcher, and the books just say automatically just give him a really good number, despite the fact that the bullpen sucks and they can't hit. And the Pirates are a good example. Their bullpen's not terrible, but they can't hit. And so just because Skeens is on the mound, they're getting like minus 150 or whatever it is, minus 110, whatever. There's no way in the world the Pirates are a better team than the Blue Jays. But because they're starting pitcher, it shifts the numbers like 50 cents. And I think they're overvaluing starting pitching.
It's a real conundrum too when the team is bad. That's what makes it really difficult when you have an elite starter on a bad team. Makes for a very tough handicap. And for kind of the point you're making, TB, it's like, how far are you going to swing it? Because it's like if we put the Pirates and the Blue Jays next to each other, there's no conversation. Like the Blue Jays are better in every aspect of the game, but now you have to factor in Skeens. I agree with you. It makes it very, very challenging. I always have a hard time betting these type of games, and they typically don't make my card. All right, Bryan Leonard, do you want to throw a game out? We're at the 10-minute mark. Have we talked about a game, or have we not talked about a game that you're considering for your parlay piece yet?
Well, I think I'm going to use one of the 2 that I mentioned, but I do want to point out the Dodgers go to Colorado here. Dodgers coming off of a huge homestand where they swept the San Diego Padres. And I talked about that earlier in the season. The games that the Dodgers need to win are against division rivals. And this, I was obviously not referring to Colorado. I'm talking about San Francisco and San Diego. And they came and they played well. And so that's something to take a look at. But now, they're going on the road to Colorado, which is always an adventure if you're playing after you're playing somewhere else and it's your first game there. Yamamoto's going. He's a huge favorite. He's close to a $3 favorite in many cases here against Freeland. Kyle Freeland is the one guy who over the years has been able to pitch pretty well in Colorado. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to play Colorado here, but you would have to think this is a little bit of a letdown spot here for the Dodgers. There may be some way to play Colorado. You're looking at a total of 11. Maybe you take 2.5 or something and take Colorado. Just something to keep in mind that I think that's a letdown spot for them there. Also, when I take a look at today's card, the San Francisco-San Diego game is a game that I think has got a little bit of value. Robbie Ray, actually two lefties going against Nestor Cortez. San Diego, after being swept against the Dodgers, how are they going to come back from that? Are they a little bit depressed that they made all that ground up, went in to play the Dodgers, and they were actually up a game going into that series, and then they get swept? So emotional games for San Diego and the Dodgers the last 3 days. It'll be interesting to see how these games play out.
Regarding the Dodgers in Colorado, surprisingly, I have Colorado ranked better at hitting and better in the bullpen right now, which I didn't expect to see when I ran my numbers. So this is why sometimes you have to cover the logos. But despite that, I still have the Dodgers overall the better team just because the starting pitcher discrepancy, where I have Yamamoto ranked 4 out of 30, and I got Freeland ranked 24 out of 30 on a curve. So despite slightly better hitting and a much better bullpen by Colorado, I still have the Dodgers a slight favorite. But it's a dangerous game. I mean, they just came off a series with San Diego fighting for the lead in the NL West, and then they have to go to Colorado and play a game that everyone expects them to win with their eyes closed. So these are the kind of games, and with their best pitcher on the mound, no doubt. So these are the kind of games you lose sometimes, which is crazy to say, but I don't expect the Dodgers to lose, but that's just baseball. Sometimes these are the games you lose,
Adam Westbury says you can get the Rockies +3 for -120. I don't think that's a terrible bet. And TB, I'll add some context to it. Because people might tune in and be like, "You're crazy. The Rockies aren't a better lineup than the Dodgers. They're not a betting hitting team than the Dodgers, and they're not. No one
Nope.
The Rockies are never in any conversation right now. Do they have a better lineup or are they a better hitting team than the Dodgers? But I think it is acceptable to say that this Rockies team, there's reasons to like this lineup right now. They have hit of late. You've got Ryan Ritter back, who was really good at AAA, and he's definitely, I think he went 2 for 4 yesterday. Warming Bernabel is awesome. Like, if you don't know who this guy is, go. Like, he might be a star. I mean, I know the Rockies ruin prospects like no other, but he actually might be like a star. And I thought that he was awesome at Albuquerque earlier this year. And now he's been up for a little while. He's hitting 304 in the big leagues, and the sample's getting up there. I mean, he's been up, I think he's now played 25 games in the big leagues or something like that, hitting 304. He might be like a legit big leaguer. I know the Rockies, they bring these guys up and they come up with hype and they never pan out. That's one that I could see panning out. And then you talk about, Tovar missed a good portion of the season. He's back. Beck is back in the major. He's been back for a while, but he's starting to hit. I think he's batting 280. So TB, I'm kind of on board with hey, this Rockies lineup's not that bad. And if they're at home and they can generate a little offense, and now you talk about Adam saying you can get a +3 at -120. I mean, the Rockies, if they're they got a young man. The guy that's managing the team now is 40 years old. I think they've got some nice energy. They're still a bad team, but damn well they're going to go out and want to beat the Dodgers. This is their Super Bowl a little bit. So I think I'm on board with Trevor says, love the Rockies team total over. Like, yeah, you got Yamamoto in the elevation off the San Diego series, a great point that Bryan made. And the Dodgers bullpen has been shaky. I can get down with that. Rockies +3 seems crazy to me, though. That actually doesn't seem like a half bad bet.
Actually, if you can get the +3 at -120, I would play that. I'm seeing right now a +2.5 at +110. So you're only paying 30 cents more for the half a run. And 11 is not an outrageous total. We just saw Colorado in the last series at 12s. So just because the line is high does not mean there's still not value there. So, yeah, I may find a way to play Colorado one way or the other here, either playing the +2.5, +110, or maybe playing the team total over. But I think it's definitely a letdown spot. And the Dodgers have shown this all year long. It's not like all of a sudden they're going to turn it on now. This is the way they played all season long, and there's a chance for them to have a letdown. They seem to have it, and they've gone through a lot of guys. Obviously, Muncy's hurt again, and they've got some other guys that are still banged up a little bit. So that one may make my card. I don't know if I'll use it for the parlay here, but I do like Colorado getting the 2.5 or better.
One thing that's a little bit scary is Yamamoto is a really good road pitcher. That's the only thing that scares me. But he's a good road pitcher everywhere but Colorado. This is just a monkey ballpark. So this is not a typical road game. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
Tokyo Brandon, do you want to propose a game, or do you know what you're going to use for the parlay?
Yeah, we covered it already, but I'm going to take the Tigers on the money line against the Astros. It's -145 where I'm seeing it. But that's going to be my leg. But we covered it already. So,
Bryan, can I get a market price on Tigers? Because they might, the other side might take some money there. So it might go back to like -145, -150.
I'm seeing 145.
153 right now.
Ew.
That's fine. Well,
it's a parlay.
It's all right. Yeah, it's a parlay. We'll say -155. Bryan, do you know what you want to lock in for the parlay right now?
I do. Let me just write down his Detroit. I'm going to play the Baltimore team total over 3.5 at -135. As I mentioned, and you mentioned the guys that they had just brought up. Yes, they are rookies, and they were just getting their first
Brian Freeze.
Oh. Their first chance to play in the majors. But these are two guys in Beavers and Pasalo that we've been waiting on, and I think it's going to rejolt this Baltimore team. Has also a lot of young guys on it, and anytime you've gone up in the minors with a lot of these guys, you're friends with them, you're excited for them. They've been reading about these guys. I think Baltimore the rest of the season is going to have some value, and to go against me, I do understand every team. When you get traded to a new team, they're going to work on a lot of your stuff. One good outing isn't enough for me to buy into May at this point. So I think Baltimore can score 4 runs here. So that's what I'll use. Team total over 3.5 at -135.
I'd take Baltimore over 3.5 in the first inning.
I mean, hey, listen, that lineup's got crooked number potential. Like, there's no doubt about that. That's the one thing. I'll go back to the point I made earlier when we were handicapping that game. If they didn't dig themselves that big of a hole, like they had such a bad April and May and they dug themselves such a big hole, this Orioles team would be playing their way into a wild card spot. I just don't think they can do it from 10 games out, obviously. But the the American League is not great. And this Orioles team, I think they're going to be a team you want to back from here to the end of the season because of what Bryan said. Basalo's a guy, I thought we might see him last year at one point. All these guys that have played together in the minors, Dylan Beavers, Basalo, Jackson, and then like they're not far removed from the Jackson holidays and the last wave. Mm-hmm. So it's still a very young team. That's the thing you have to understand about the Orioles. They had success early. Like this is still a very young team that's still looking toward the future. I think you get a lot of good outings from the Orioles the rest of the way. So Bryan, I'm with you there. And TB, I love the Tigers call. That's a great spot for them. So let's hit one of these. We are getting dangerously close to being even on the season. So we need this one right here. I'm going to go with the Reds Go ahead, TB.
No, I was going to say, can you recap it for them?
Yeah. So my leg is three-teamer. My leg is Cincinnati Reds minus 112. Bryan Leonard's going to go Orioles team total over 3.5 minus 125. And Tokyo Brandon is going Tigers on the money line. That's the three-teamer plus 442. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, I'm a terrible promoter of myself. We've been winning a lot of our 4 and 5% plays. We're on a 78% run on 4% and higher, and we've turned a profit 8 out of the last 9 days. Unfortunately, at this point, I don't know what my plays are. I'll continue to work on them today, and I will put them up. But all three of us, I think, are on pretty good runs, and let's hopefully we can get one of these parlays. I blew it, I guess, on Friday. I guess my team lost. It was I had 3 plays for clients. I went 2 and 1, and of course, the one I lose is the one we use in the parlay here. So it happens. Parlays are hard to hit, especially 3-teamers or higher. But let's see if we can get one for you today.
Yeah, I got
an MLB play out already, so go get that. Adam's got a 5%. Brian's going to put his out right after the show. Go to our pages and see what we got up for free as well.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have a minute, go drop us a like on the YouTube replay, maybe a comment. We like to get in there and interact with you guys on there as well. And let's have a great Monday. We'll be back 9 a.m. tomorrow for more Total Basis. See you guys then.